Extraordinary shifts are taking place in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia has long ceased to be the somnolent, obedient follower of Washington, and a new and previously unthought of loose association of countries seems to be forming. The Saudis, their former enemy Iran, the Gulf states, and increasingly Syria, which brings in Russia, and Russia brings in China. But what initially brought Iran and Saudi Arabia together? I asked Baran Abbasi of BBC Persian to explain.
Iran has been under sanctions for years now because of its nuclear program and also because of its human rights record. And in recent months, it's been under huge pressure domestically because of the nationwide protest in Iran against the regime. And also, it signed a strategic partnership deal with China in 2021. It's a long-term one. It spans out for over 20 years. One of the conditions would be to increase stability in the region, and China would definitely want that. China is Iran's biggest trading partner. Israel was another problem because Israel is warming up to Arab nations.
It's a stunning blow to Israel, isn't it?
Exactly, because Israel was hoping to resume relations with Saudi Arabia through its Abraham Accord. I mean, it did do that with the UAE and Bahrain, but the real deal was Saudi Arabia. It was hoping to achieve that. And not only did that not happen, Saudi Arabia is resuming diplomatic relations with its arch rival, Iran, and also is warming up to Syria's Bashar al-Assad, which is another enemy of Israel.
It really is quite extraordinary, given the hostility that the Saudis have always had to Shia Islam, to come to the biggest Shia Islam nation and make peace with them.
Yeah, and also Iranians. I mean, the Iranian leader used very demeaning words against Saudi Arabia when the diplomatic relations broke off. Like, he called them idiots, he called them incompetent. But it seems that Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, the crown prince, pursue his economic interests and economic interests of Saudi Arabia. And also, I think Saudi Arabia feels a bit insecure when it comes to the region and the fact that the US used to offer guarantees, security guarantees to Saudi Arabia, but as it ended its dependency on Saudi oil, it seems that their path kind of diverged. And the fact that the Biden administration has publicly criticized the foreign policy of Saudi Arabia, the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist, and also the war in Yemen, it seems that they kind of are cozying up to China now for guarantees, for security. In terms of sectarianism, it won't go away overnight because it's been going on for decades. And I think...
centuries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What do you think it means for the war in Yemen?
Saudi Arabia didn't want to, I think, carry on with the war, but they needed some sort of opportunity to end the war in Yemen, and I think Iran wants it as well. So I think for Yemen, it could bring some sort of stability and some sort of peace. Also, could happen in Lebanon, maybe more stability in Lebanon, in Iraq, because Iran is wielding a lot of power, political and military power, through its Shia militia in both countries.
Looking at the overall picture, it really does strengthen that notion that China, Russia, Iran, I mean, all the kind of enemies of the West are coming together.
Exactly. It seems like there are this small club of authoritarian regimes that have come together, and they're not genuine friends, they're kind of business partners, but they are pursuing their own strategic interests, and also they kind of want to challenge the US-dominated world order. And especially in the Middle East, as the US role diminishes, and it doesn't show that much interest in the Middle East anymore. It seems that China is growing its influence. And for Russia, I mean, it made perfect sense, I think, for Iranians and Russians to kind of partner up over the war in Ukraine, and for Iran to sell weapons to Russia, because they're both under sanctions, they both feel isolated. I think they've learned to kind of work together, but it doesn't seem that they're genuine partners.